Welcome everybody back to 31 Days of Horror. So this is going to be the final film that we're going to be reviewing for this Halloween season, and it is 1968's The Devil Rides Out. So directed by Terence Fisher, who was a staple of Hammer horror, although I have seen 19 films in general from him, so not all of them are from Hammer, but best of his would be like the Dracula, The Curse of Frankenstein, The Mummy, and The Hound of the Baskervilles. So this is a horror film clocking in at 96 minutes long. Stars Christopher Lee, who we've already done a retrospective, well, I'd say retrospective, just a general breakdown of the films that I own from him within the horror genre. Do have to apologise for my cat being a bit of a nuisance there. She would not play still. Yeah, but I've seen in general from Christopher Lee 54 other films. Obviously, I don't own all of them, but he was obviously in the likes of the Lord of the Rings series, Star Wars series, and one-time James Bond villain as well. But I think he was also in terms of horror films that I haven't mentioned in my previous video. Was also in the likes of Horror Express and Sleepy Hollow. Also stars Charles Gray, who was also in the Bond series, although in two Bond films in two different roles. He was also in the 7% Solution and The Executioner. So the powers of good are pitted against the forces of evil as the Duke de Richelieu wrestles with the charming but deadly Satanist, MacArthur, for the soul of his friend. MacArthur has the knowledge and the power to summon the forces of darkness, and as Duke de Richelieu and his friends remain within the protected pentacle, they are subjected to ever-increasing horror until thundering hooves herald the arrival of the Angel of Death. So this is easily one of the strongest Hammer efforts that aren't based on a notable villain like Mummy, Dracula, and Frankenstein and such. As not only does it have the typically lavish production that is typical of a Hammer film, but also the cast is great and it is highly engrossing throughout. I also like the fact it has some solid action scenes featured. For instance, it is set in 1929, so even though there is a car chase, it is in old cars from that period. But it's surprisingly quite well executed. Even though you can tell when it's the actors in a rear projection and not, it's still really, really good in terms of the general speed that the cars are getting up to. And at the end of the day, there are actually people in those cars, even if it's not the actual actors and with their characters. And yeah, they're going at a fair old amount of speed. They're on these tight, narrow country roads with brushes and ditches and trees surrounding them, and yeah, they're taking these, quite frankly, obviously quite outdated cars and hooning them around at quite some speed. So yeah, it's a fairly impressive car chase. You don't get many films in the UK that have car chases in them, so it's really, 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 really cool to see one in this film. Even if it is a horror film, it still has some action in it. It's also cool to see Christopher Lee getting a bit more physical in a horror film, much like with Vincent Price in House of Wax. It's really nice to see getting him get quite physical with some people, punching people out and such. So yeah, that is pretty good. It's also predominantly well paced, nicely shot. The score is decent. There are some interesting visuals, and it keeps me entertained from and engaged in equal measure throughout. So yeah, overall, a really well for a solid effort. It's a good 4 out of 5, and it's a very strong 4 out of 5. So even though I don't love it enough to bump it up any higher, I'd struggle to reason to get it down lower, to be honest. So, yeah, this isn't a new release from StudioCanal by any stretch of the imagination, as it is from 2012. So, yeah, a little bit of a shame that we haven't had a newer release of this. And you can tell how old it is because it says double play, Blu-ray and DVD, because apparently still people wanted DVD even back in 2012. But yeah, those are the discs. So on the actual discs, in terms of extras, you get 3 brand new documentaries: Black Magic, The Making of the Devil Rides Out; The Power of Light, Restoring the Devil Rides Out; Dennis Wheatley at Hammer, World of Hammer episode Hammer; Gallery, commentary featuring Christopher Lee, Sarah Lawson, and Marcus Hearn as well. So yeah, good deal of extras there, no doubt about that. But it definitely could do with a little bit of an upgrade or a restoration or something along those lines. But still, really rather excellent film, and the one that I do highly recommend for this spooky season, especially if you're looking for a Christopher Lee film where he's not the villain and where he's not playing a role or a character that you've seen many times before in different kinds of films. So yeah, highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. But if you have seen the film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.